Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. We thank you for this past week in our city and the protection we've had with generally good weather. We are thankful for, as residents here and in this nation, to celebrate the Easter and the Passover season coming up here very soon. As the time change comes this weekend, we are reminded of the change of the season. We look forward to that too, as spring is closer every day. Thank you now as we have a chance to meet and discuss city's business. Pray for safety for those who provide our public safety, our teachers, our schools. We do pray for our nation as we continue to wrestle with security and safety. We are thankful for the way we've been protected here in East Peoria for the many good days we have. So thank you now as we conduct this meeting. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 20th, 2018 be approved as printed.
Second, please. Second. Commissioner Decker, discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Communications tonight, Madam
I
Clerk?
don't have any communications, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Anybody in the audience want to speak to the council on an agenda item, come forward? See no one come forward unless there's an objection. I'll turn it over to you, Commissioner Decker.
All right, I'll read this how Morgan wants me to. Consent agenda items by omnibus vote. Mr. Mayor Mingus, Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 through 9. Item number 1, adoption of resolution number 1718-119, resolution to approve payment of the schedule of bills number 20 in the amount of $1,094,530.07. Item number 2, adoption of ordinance number 4374 on its second reading, an ordinance adding provision to the East Peoria City Code pertaining to the liability insurance and hold harmless agreements for contractors. Item number 3, adoption of resolution number 1718-109 on its second reading, resolution accepting the low bid for purchase of 2 Gentak V110 G3 convertible laptop computers, which listed accessories for Public Works Street Foreman from SHI International Corp. for $8,069.44. Item number 4, adoption of resolution number 1718-112 on its second reading, resolution authorizing the purchase of 10 desktops, 5 tablets, 10 monitors, and associated computer equipment to upgrade outdated computer equipment throughout the city from PTC selected in the amount of $19,435. Item number 5, adoption of resolution number 1718-108 on the second reading, resolution authorizing a $5,000 contribution for Illinois High School Association March Madness tournament experience from hotel motel tax funds. Item number 6, adoption of resolution number 1718-111 on its second reading, resolution authorizing the approval of a 2-year mower rental agreement with Martin Sullivan Incorporated for 2018 and 2019 for the Department of Tourism and Special Events. Item number 7, adoption of resolution of number 1718-115 on the second reading, resolution approving agreement with AMEC Foster Wheeler for closing and capping of monitoring wells on the Bass Pro development site. Item number 8, adoption of resolution number 1718-110 on second reading, resolution authorizing the payment of an invoice from Ultra Incorporated in the amount of $15,717.87 for the repair of engine 1 after vehicle fire. Item number 9, adoption of resolution number 1718-114 on second reading, resolution approving 2017-2018 intergovernmental agreement for mutual aid with Northern Tazewell Fire Protection District, as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote. Mr. Mayor, I move you that the items numbered 1 through 9 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted. The items numbered 2 through 9, having been read once by their title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, to be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Mr. Call.
Discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
All right. So all I have to do with that one, Morgan?
You have one more.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Mr. Densberger usually reads that, so it put me out of my element a bit. All right, next, Mayor. Resolution number 1718-117. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, the resolution number 1718-117 hereto attached, a a resolution allocating $450,000 of motor fuel tax funds for the 2018 street maintenance program and authorizing an engineering contract with Patrick Meyer and Associates for street maintenance program be approved. This resolution, number 1718-117, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. Each year, we look at what we can do for the streets of East Peoria. This year is no different. This is a little bit more money than we expected in the streets. We're hoping still to get even more money throughout the year, but I'll let Mr. Eder talk about how we got to the financing of $450,000 so far.
Thanks, Commissioner. Yes, this is a little bit more money than what we originally looked at in the budget for streets. MFT is a motor fuel tax. It's a tax collected by the state, passed on to the city of East Peoria. That's normally about $600,000. There are two things that come out of that line item: salt purchase for road salt in the wintertime, and then our street maintenance program come out of that. Fortunately, we budget about $250,000 or so for salt for the last couple of years. We've been under that budget for the last couple of years, leaving us a little bit of extra dollars in there to spend this year on streets. So that's why that's bumped up this year. So we'll still have the salt in there, but we had a little extra dollars that we didn't spend last couple of years. So it's good news.
And unfortunately, I think we're really going to need it. We've had some very fortunate years, last couple of years with our roads, and this year's winter was not very kind to our roads. It's not only ours, but all the area streets. We're going to be doing quite a bit of repairs and filling potholes and things for this year.
Thank you. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, next, Mayor, resolution number 1718-120, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1718-120, hereto attached a resolution approving a right-of-way use agreement with McLeod USA Telecommunications Services be approved, and that this resolution number 1718-120 be accepted on its first reading, as read by its title, be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second.
Second, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. This is, we had a 20-year agreement with McLeod, and this is, I believe, another 20-year agreement. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. This, this agreement is basically for them to put their lines in our right-of-way. We are charging them 1% of what they collect, and essentially that's the max that we can charge. Like I said, it is a 20-year agreement. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to say to it, Scott?
No, I think you summed up pretty clearly. The city's collecting the max they can collect from under these types of agreements with telecommunication providers. And so this is just extending that agreement for another 20 years. And it does provide some protections to the city that you wouldn't normally get if we didn't have it in place.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4366 hereto attached, an ordinance adding a provision to Title 10, Chapter 1 of the City Code prohibiting violations of the rules and regulations for patron conduct for inside public areas of civic complex. Accepted on its first reading is read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. This is dealing with the property that we're sitting in now. This is shared space, and there really are no rules for this shared space. So what we would have before, if there was an unruly person that was in the library could have them removed, but they could not be removed from city property. This gives our police officers more authority if they come, and anybody causing any issue can be now removed from the property. It gives us now some rules in place that they can enforce.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Sir, Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4373 here to attach, an ordinance amending Title 5, Chapters 7 and 11 of the East Peoria City Code pertaining to parking requirements be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. Kind of wish Bob Jorgensen was here tonight. I think he'd really like this. This is talking about the large parking lots that we have. Many businesses, it used to be looked at as how many spaces are provided for each business. Now, because of this ordinance, it's limiting it. It's a maximum number of spaces provided for each business. The way I see this as being a very good thing, there's been a change over the last however long, 20, 30 years, that water rushes much faster into the spillways and into the rivers. There's less permeable surfaces. If we have less concrete, it's more opportunity for that water to be absorbed into the earth, thus potentially, possibly decreasing the risk of flood. Ty brought this forward. I'll let him make more comments.
Well, thank you. I think, some of the other positives here is it provides more opportunities for development. If you take a look at, for an example, and not to pick on any particular business, but you take a look at Lowe's or the Target across the street here, if they had less parking, you could have more opportunities for development to occur. The other plus side of this is less installation cost, less maintenance cost down the road. So we think it's a very positive thing for businesses and allows them to determine, hey, I don't need that much parking, and we can work with that.
Just a question. We still have, you have basic guidelines as to how much a certain square foot store, retail category needs for parking. I guess the owners of the store may know what they think they need for an average. At least those peak days, to design for the absolute peak is pretty expensive.
Yes.
But what I see happening, I mean, it takes some of the upfront costs for new development as well as, I think you already alluded to it, but if these maximum numbers are set, then it does encourage the possibility, and we see many freestanding businesses, not just in East Peoria, but other places, in the middle of a parking lot.
Right.
And it's because we're not just shoving parking away, but it actually still fits our code or what we require. There's always safety as getting in and out and traffic and fire protection and all that, but you're not compromising that at all. This is just looking at reality of the flow of business. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
And next and last, Mayor, resolution number 1718-118. Whereas Sean Naylor, Greg Zook, Steve Martin, and Roger Wilsdorf all served as the City of East Peoria police officers, and whereas at varying times, all four individuals ceased active service in the East Peoria Police Department by reason of disability, and whereas none of the individuals applied for a regular retirement pension from the City of East Peoria Pension Fund, but all four applied for disability status and were granted disability benefits from East Peoria Police Pension Fund. And whereas Sean Naylor, Greg Zook, Steve Martin, and the estate of Roger Wilsdorf, now deceased, filed claims seeking payment of unused accumulated sick leave and had accrued at the time they ceased active services, they authorized at the time of retirement under the collective bargaining agreement governing their employment with the city, and whereas all of the parties, in an effort to avoid further litigation of the wage claims, participated in a mediation led by a retired circuit court judge with culmination in tentative mediation settlement agreement subject to the city council approval, and whereas it is in the best interest of the City of East Peoria to settle all pending wage claims, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, the above recitations are found to be true and correct. Section 2, the city approves and ratifies the mediation settlement agreement with Sean Naylor dated January 25, 2018. Sections 3, the city approves and ratifies the mediation settlement agreement with Greg Zook dated January 25, 2018. Section 4, the city approves and ratifies the mediation settlement agreement with Steve Martin dated January 25, 2018. Section 5, the city approves and ratifies the mediation settlement agreement with the estate of Roger Wilsdorf dated January 25, 2018. Section 6, city administrator and city treasurer are authorized and directed to take appropriate action consistent with this resolution. Mr. Mayor, I move you the resolution number 1718 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Jeffers.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers. It was a long resolution. There's been quite a bit of controversy with this, I think, over the last couple of years. It was sent in front of an arbitrator. Obviously, this has not been settled yet. And what you have in front of you tonight is a settlement. I'll just be honest with you, this was a tough one to get through. This is not something that I immediately just jumped on, and at first, there were at least parts of this. I'm not going to dissect it individually with each person, but there were parts of it that made me not want to, I guess, accept this settlement. However, we had one of our attorneys, along with Dennis Triggs, speak to each of us and advised us it was in his belief that it's in the city's best interest to accept this. Talked about the potential loss for the city if we would lose each one of these was quite a bit more than what we would be paying out in these settlement agreements. I believe up over $300,000 was a potential loss. And sometimes I may want to fight these things, but if I have to think of it in terms of controlling taxpayer dollars, I have to think of it that way. So this is not my money. So we pay our attorneys for a reason, and the advice that they gave and asked us to settle these on the behalf of the city, they felt it was in the city's best financial interest to settle these. So therefore, I will be voting yes tonight.
Other discussion, please?
Yeah, I'll be very consistent this evening. I'll be respectful as well, because these are some tough decisions for anyone sitting on this council to make. I have not in the past, nor will I tonight, agree to any kind of settlement of this nature. I think it's about time we send a message. Unfortunately, Illinois law allows these gentlemen to seek what they've sought here. I disagree with settling it. I will continue to try to send a message to future employees. I don't agree with this. Very easy for someone to go out and get a lawyer and take additional tax dollars out of your pockets, but it's time people in Illinois wake up and see what's going on and see what's behind things of this nature and request a change. And in order to change, you need to put pressure on the people that enact laws such as the ones that allowed this to happen this evening. So I will not support this.
Mr. Jeffers, comments?
I agree with both Commissioner Decker and Commissioner Call on their points. Actually, as far as we've been down this way before, not many times, but before, and I don't like the clock being run out or the score being run up as far as costs. And yes, our legal had their recommendation, and we're free to disagree with that, and that's okay. I understand. Plenty of lawyers that will take cases, and there's the appeal process and everything else, and you don't need to go through all that, but that is our legal system as we have it. And even if you win, you lose. And so that is not at all pleasant. But with the risk as far as the cost, I think we can send a message and put in the litigation here. It's difficult either way. And I think in that regard, I think we're all agreed we would like to send a message or be consistent with how we handle our employees and be fair and so forth. And we think we have things in place that do that. And yet we have cases like this that happen from time to time. So I don't know how that changes overnight, but I think none of us want to see it ever happen again. But we'll see, and we'll do our best to make it not happen. But I reluctantly will support this because I think it does take the risk away from us as far as the potential cost if we were to lose any one of these. And that's just a calculation on our part. And I trust that the recommendation from our actually pretty well-experienced attorneys, I really do. So I will support this tonight, Mr. Mayor.
I went all the way this morning, checked with, yesterday with legal counsel, plus our hearing officer. Believe it's in the best interest financially, but I do also think that that it's not unanimous sends a message, and that's what we all want to send. So roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
No.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
3 ayes and 1 no, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
That is all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers.
I have 2 items tonight, Mr. Mayor. First one, Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4378, hereto attach, an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 5, Section 2.3A of the East Peoria City Code pertaining to water tap-in charges, be read at length by the clerk, and that said ordinance number 4378 be accepted on its first reading and be hereby adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. Morgan, please.
Whereas the City of East Peoria has proposed a revision to the tap-in connection fee for water service from the city's water system as provided in Title 7, Chapter 5, Section 2.3A, the East Peoria City Code, which proposed revision is set forth herein. And whereas the city seeks to increase the water tap-in fee to the amount of the actual cost incurred by the city when a new connection to the city's water system is made, whereas the City Council finds that adoption of the proposed revision serves the best interests of the City of East Peoria and its citizens, now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, Title 7, Chapter 5, Section 2.3A, the East Peoria City Code is hereby amended to read as follows. Additions are indicated by underline, deletions by strikeout. 7-5-2.3A, water tap-in charges. A, there is hereby fixed a service connection charge of 1-inch service connection, $3,000. New service connections having a diameter of less than 1 inch may not be installed. Fees charged for service connections having a diameter in excess of 1 inch shall equal the cost of labor and materials incurred by the city in the installation of the service connection as determined by the Director of Public Works. Each such service connection shall be paid upon application for connection. Section 2, this ordinance is hereby ordered to be published in pamphlet form by the East Peoria City Clerk. Said clerk is ordered to keep at least 3 copies hereof available for public inspection in the future and in accordance with the Illinois Municipal Code. Section 3, this ordinance is in addition to all other ordinances on the subject, shall be construed therewith, excepting as to that part, in direct conflict with any other ordinance, and in the event of such conflict, the provisions hereof shall govern. Section 4, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and 10-day period of publication, in the manner provided by law.
Thank you, Morgan. In doing a review of everything we charge for or collect, as we've been doing that for the last several months, actually last ongoing time, I know we've looked at these fees as to see how current they are and how much they are in line with the market, as well as what our true costs are. And we found, well, this had not been changed in 14 years, I believe, and it's been a flat rate, no inflationary change or nothing. It's just been the flat $1,000. I'll let our director, Dennis Barron, just give an overview. He's put the numbers together. We've talked about it, but I'll let him speak, and then I'll have any closing comments, or others may want to comment as well.
There's a lot of things that have happened over this last 14 years. We all know costs go up. One of the largest ones, of course, in this process is the cost of copper, which we use for the services, as well as the implementation of the lead-free brass that's happened through the EPA process. That's caused all of the pieces and parts we use to go up significantly. Our cost of $1,000 doesn't come anywhere close to covering even the pieces and parts we use every single day, which means every time we put in a new service, we're doing that by using funds come up with the rest of the water customers in the city. And it's really not what it should be designed for. The cost of a new water service for a brand-new customer should cover the cost of the brand-new water service. The cost for what we call a short service, which is a service with the main in front of the house, is over $2,500. We're charging $1,000. If we have to cross the street because the main's on the other side of the street, we end up somewhere around $4,300. Those costs are basically just eat up through the rest of the fees that we've charged through the normal water process. The cost of the pieces and parts themselves have all gone up, including the cost of a meter, which is almost $300 of that funding. So you start off right off the bat, we give them a meter of $300, so you take that off the $1,000, you start with $700. This does not even entertain any idea whatsoever of pavement patching, pavement repair. If we have a service that goes into a older part of town where the water main is directly under the street, we've got pavement costs, we've got flowable costs, we've got things we have to incur. I didn't even add those costs in on top of that. So I did some market checks across the board. Of course, Illinois American Water does not charge any tap-in fees, so that covers Pekin and Peoria. They charge theirs in a monthly user service fee that they get every single month forever, so they recoup theirs in the long term, where we recoup ours by charging the actual cost of water, and then we charge the tap-in fees up front. The city of Washington is around $1,000 right now. Chillicothe has a $500. Cat Trail directly to our north, which covers part of Germantown Hills, is at $2,500 for a new structure plus the cost of a meter. So if you throw that in, they're at $2,850 for doing the exact same thing. So this is really right in line with what everybody else is doing. It's around 20 to 25 new residences each year for the last 3 years is all the farther I went back and looked at them. So it's consistently where we're not even recouping our actual output of costs. So it's time to review. I know in the process of reviewing our additional fees, this is one of the things that just stuck out, is we're not even covering the cost of what we spend.
And this is the max, as I understand it.
That is correct. I mean, we originally, as I wrote it with the standard 3.5% per year increase. I was asked that we just don't do that we just look and say, okay, maybe it'll be another 14 years before we raise it again, at least until we get the costs out of line. One of the other things that I was talking about too is a lot of new commercial businesses, and I'll use a couple examples that are fresh right now. Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, they need a 1-inch service is all they need. Provision in the ordinance doesn't really tell us what to charge a commercial customer that wants a 1-inch service other than time and materials. And our time and materials, we've just kind of found that we just charge what we do for a residential service. This kind of puts it back in line to where even those businesses are going to be charged a $3,000, which is a piece that, just kind of levels the playing field. They're asking for the same size service. It's not really doing anything any different, but it is a commercial application, and there's nothing really in the ordinance that defines what to do for anything in that 1-inch size, which is just the smaller businesses might just have bathrooms or a small kitchen or whatever they need, so.
One thing we talked about was currently, it is higher cost if you're on one side of the street, the other depending where the water main is. And we just made a flat rate left or right side of the street.
We're just playing the odds that half of them are going to be on one side of the street and half of them will be on the other side of the street. That's
And
pretty common.
one thing you brought up, which I thought was pretty good, was that because our costs are so low, I mean, we can work with contractors and development for a subdivision. There's ways for us to work together and try and lower costs. Contractors can do part of this work, in especially new construction. And it's cheaper for them right now to say, well, let the city do it for $1,000.
Yeah, the other thing to consider too is if we do end up with a house, just say Pinecrest or Muller Road, where we have to cross 4, 5, 6 lanes, we don't have the equipment to be able to do that. So I'm going to charge $1,000 and I'm going to automatically call a contractor to come in that's going to charge me $4,000 or $5,000 to shoot a directional bore across the street to provide that same water service. Ordinance kind of ties my hands to even recoup part of my fees. I'm going to spend more money to provide them water because they're in the city because of the layout of our roads, in some places being 4 and 5 lanes.
Yeah.
Springfield Road being extra wide. If there's any development that comes in, we have a cost that's going to come out of our pockets every single time.
So we're trying this to make it on average a good cost to, on average, recover our costs and still be favorable to work with, we're open for business for homes, et cetera, and I think we can do that. And so that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The discussion?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, when you look at it on the surface, it's kind of an eye-opener. But when you look at the details and the actual cost attributed to the short service versus long service, it's a prudent thing to do to cover our cost, tax dollars. So I'm supportive of it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
And one final thing, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4379 here to attach, an ordinance amending Title 3, Chapter 3 of the City of East Peoria, Illinois City Code liquor control regulations to change the number of Class D licenses issued in the city limits and change the provisions regarding delivery. Be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
This essentially decreases the number of Class D liquor licenses by 2, and then changes provisions regarding delivery to only allow delivery for delivery carriers such as UPS, USPS, FedEx.
I saw that delivery. At first, I was thinking, as just the headline of it, is that the way we serve drinks and that? No, this is delivering the product, correct? So this is an update. We always change our license to match our actuals, and then that leaves open the chance, if a new business comes in, we actually have an approval process, again, to approve that and go.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
That's all, Mr. Mayor, at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Jarvis. Commissioner Call.
Have one item this evening, sir. Resolution number 1718-116, a resolution authorizing temporary increase in the number of firefighters on the East Peoria Fire Department. Whereas Title I, Chapter 5, Section 2.1 of the East Peoria City Code authorizes the City Council to determine from time to time by resolution the number of individuals to hold each rank on the fire department, and whereas there are 3 pending openings in the East Peoria Fire Department, and whereas the East Peoria Fire Department would like to begin the hiring process as soon as possible so that the new probationary firefighter may attend the upcoming fire academy in April. Whereas it is in the best interest of the city of East Peoria to temporarily increase the total number of individuals holding the rank of firefighter on the East Peoria Fire Department from 30 to 33, and whereas it is in the best interest of the city that after the pending openings become effective, the city of East Peoria decrease the total number of individuals holding the rank of firefighter on the East Peoria Fire Department from 33 to 30. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, effective immediately, the Fire Department of the City of East Peoria shall consist of the following personnel: A, 1 fire chief; B, 1 deputy fire chief; C, 3 assistant fire chiefs; D, 9 lieutenants; E, 33 firefighters; F, 1 paid on-call firefighter. Section 2, the fire chief is hereby authorized and directed to notify the Police and Fire Commission of the temporary increase in firefighters and to request the Police and Fire Commission to undertake the process of appointing a probationary firefighter to fill the position hereby created. Section 3, effective on the projected future retirements in the fire department and the loss of staffing for 1 firefighter position, the fire department of the city of East Peoria shall consist of the following personnel: A, 1 fire chief; B, 1 deputy fire chief; C, 3 assistant fire chiefs; D, 9 lieutenants; E, 30 firefighters; and F, 1 paid on-call firefighter. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 1718-116 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Jeffers.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers. I'm going to turn this over to the chief, but just real quickly, we have 3 pending openings, and in order to count probationary firefighters as manpower, part of this is a timing thing, quite honestly. We need to get them into the academy, and the fire academy, the next one starts in April, and then there's a lapse until, I believe, July for the next one if we don't get them in April. So time's kind of of the essence. So, Chief, do you mind?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd just like to thank the City Council for being so proactive on this. This is not the first time we did this. We did this when Lieutenant Akers retired. We knew he was leaving in May. We went ahead and hired early, and it still took me 2 months to get somebody processed and then to the academy. We had one of our firefighters resign out of the blue in October of last year, and we're just now getting his replacement finished up with the academy, and he will not be manpower. His graduation is March 16th. We're hoping to have him counted as manpower by the middle of April. So that shows you how long it actually takes, once you give me the permission to do this, how long it takes for us to get through these hoops that we have to jump through. And we barely were able to get firefighter Passwater hired before the list expired. We're right in the middle of a new list, so as soon as this comes out, it makes it easier for me to be able to go to the Police Fire Commission and say, yeah, go ahead and let's get all the paperwork done, let's get this started. We'll get a spot reserved in the fire academy so that these young men can be counted. I'll bring it to you guys' your gentleman's attention now. We have, right now, we have 3 to 5 pending retirements in the next year, and we actually have about 4 more in the next 2 years after that. We hired a large group in 2000, and that group of individuals will have 20 years on in 2020. So the time is getting real close. I gave you gentlemen a graph, and Danny knows I love making graphs. It shows you the dates when everybody is eligible to retire, and then the second one is when they have their 30 years on. You'll notice that right now, at 20 years, you can get a 50% pension. The Tier 2 firemen, which are the newer ones we hired, they have to be 55 and have 30 years on to retire. So over the next, till like 2026, we're going to see this roller coaster of people coming and going. So it will be quite a bit. Like I said, we've got, if you look at the second one, I won't go over it, but this is for you to look at. You can show the large group. We've got 11 individuals that are at 18 years right now. So this is something that Mr. Eater and you guys probably need to look at next budget year. You may have to actually look at maybe hiring early because those gentlemen came on in February, and the ones that will probably retire will most likely retire in May. So it would behoove you to look at not this December, but the following December, doing the same thing, maybe 3 or 4, just so we stay ahead of the curve. And then that way we have a little bit of overtime coverage, because if we did do this now, we're going to be down again because we've already got some people that are off on the OJI.
This started with me asking the chief to move this forward. 1, with the OJIs, 2, knowing the retirements. You know, we could potentially have 5 before the end of the year retire, which would be adding 2 more on top of the 3 that we're asking for today. And my goal is to try to stay out in front of this. It's prudent management to do this, even though we don't have specific dates on the rest of them at this point in time. But they will be coming shortly.
That 20 years went fast, though.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Well, I
did.
appreciate both the chief and Jeff for bringing this to the forefront. You know, as we're challenged right now with overtime costs due to a lot of injuries and then a timing thing here. So I think it's better to be proactive. And I know, you know, with respect to the police department, it's kind of the similar situation when you're trying to bring someone on as someone stepping off or whatever the case may be. You have to equate in there the timing of the training and everything else, so.
I have had that conversation with the police chief, and we are looking at some point in time doing this very same thing for the same type of reasons.
Mayor, everybody knows I'm on the fire department. I struggle with this, whether I should or should not vote on it. It doesn't necessarily affect my wages. However, I certainly believe I should not vote on this. The thing is, if we need to do more things like this, and I appreciate that we are doing this, if we wait and hire them at the point in which they leave, then to fill their spot is often filled by somebody who is making top pay. So the faster we can get people on at these base rates financially, the city would be much better off. Many times we don't do that. We wait, and for different reasons, the person's going out the door, and we still have not started really the process of getting somebody else in. This is certainly the way we should continue to do business in the future. And even though I'm going to abstain, I 100% support it.
Thank you.
Just a comment. I know in police, we have many off on workman's comp, and they're coming back. They're not retiring, but hopefully they're
Correct.
coming back, and we have a schedule for that. And you have the
Yes.
same situation with some people off besides these retirees that are coming on board. Question, what is standard procedure? I know when I retired, it just happened, you know. I had a few weeks to make up my mind, and I was gone. But what's typical? I mean, somebody can just come in and say, hey, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, actually, we had a young man that only had 4 years on the job walk in and said, I'm leaving in 2 weeks, chief, which kind of threw me for a loop. But,
Yeah.
I mean, we just hired this gentleman.
I mean, you know your people and et cetera, and I know you've announced your retirement, but I mean, anything that we know when they're leaving, it helps us a lot.
And I've tried to put some feelers out there, and the biggest thing is I've told them, look, this is not in concrete. If you tell me you're leaving, I've had one of my other firefighters tell me he's probably leaving in January of this coming year.
Yeah,
So-
that's fair. I mean, that's about all I would expect of anybody, and But they can just say, I'm gone in 2 weeks. I mean, I
we
get
can.
that, and things can happen in someone's life, et cetera. So, it's their call. But no, I like the idea of being proactive on this, and whether it's employment and costs and equipment and long-term planning, et cetera. I would say as the force turns over, and you mentioned the different retirement schedule for the new hires, that actually, the reality is that lowers our cost overall in these out years.
Correct.
Out there a good while.
Yeah.
But still, that's part of it, and, but that's still, we want to have the manpower on board to field the job.
Yeah, well, you hate to look at it as a replacement schedule like a vehicle, but it really is. We break down, we get old, it's time to go. I mean, so.
Just one more question. I know we need
Sure.
to move on, but we talk about firefighters, but how does this affect our medical side of the house, which is really the majority of our calls?
Well, what will end up happening is we'll start out a new firefighter. He'll be on the ambulance with one of the other paramedics and then the one that was with her before, they will end up getting an engine spot. So it's a really good process for us to be able to get these people groomed, and they go to the next step. It takes 10 years to get off the ambulance to an engine. By that time, they're fully trained, they're a phenomenal paramedic, they're a great firefighter, and then they're mentoring the one that's right behind them. So it's a good succession planning for the way we do this. So I don't want to say our best firefighters, our more senior firefighters hold the engine spots, and then the junior guys are on the ambulance, and then as they get their time on and become seasoned, then we move them to the engine. So it's kind of an attrition spot.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Abstain.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Migas?
Aye.
I have 3 ayes and 1 abstention, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
That's all I had, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. Comments from the audience on a non-agenda item? Seeing no one come forward, we'll go to Commissioner Decker. Comments from the council.
Nothing, Mayor.
Commissioner Jeffers.
Nothing, except I mentioned to you as we walked in tonight that daylight saving time kicks in Sunday morning at
Sunday,
about 2 in the
right.
morning, so some hate it, some like it. I know the kids probably like it. I did. I guess it doesn't make much difference anymore, but it's a change of season. Even when in the invocation, it was like, this is just a change of season here. I look forward to those times, actually.
Commissioner Call.
The only thing I have to say is I've slacked on my current events that I like to post at the end of the meeting. The last couple of months have been kind of a lull in activity, but spring's around the corner, so we'll be bringing some events back to make some announcements in the future.
Very
Thank
good.
everyone for being here. I hope everyone has a good evening.
Absolutely. Motion to adjourn, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday evening, March 20th, 2018 at 6 p.m.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Migas?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Good job, Judge.